Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. HexyTCG here. In today's episode, we're going to be going over the blue Sukuna deck that we created. We're going to go ahead and call it Blukuna. I just honestly like to make little silly names, as you can see from the list right here. We'll go ahead and make an update video on the Shikigami Rush deck. I did go ahead and update that deck recently, which is why the views are still climbing up as they are. But I just would like to go ahead and go over the blue Sukuna deck that I went over and created after checking out a couple of videos of people either playing it in the western side or in Japan, then also just checking out some of the decks that are here on the EXPerts website. But first things first, there's some new updates to the website as well. As you can see, card list is still going to be on your left side, but instead of it just being where you hover over card and you see the little box pop up for a little bit, you now can see the cards on the right side of the screen whenever you hover over them as well. So that's honestly a really nice addition. Also, the part of the screen that is on the far right side where the cost range is and the triggers and deck nodes, all that used to be over here on the bottom, so that way you could see it and scroll down. But now they made the website to where it's a lot easier to go ahead and see everything that you need, such as your color triggers, your final triggers, special triggers, characters, events, sites, etc. So yeah, let's go ahead and go over the deck that we decided to create. So, first card that we have is going to be let's scroll that up. First card is going to be 4 energy, 1 AP Sukuna. It's going to be one of our raid triggers. And, sorry, not raid triggers, it's going to be one of our raid targets. This one we're going to run 4 of this card. During your turn, if one or more copies of Sukuna's finger are in your sideline, this character gains 1000 BP. If 2 or more copies are in your sideline, this character gains impact as well. When played, draw 2 cards, then place 1 card from your hand and place it into the side and place 1 into the sideline as well. And this card is going to start out with 4000 BP. It's going to generate 1 energy if you decide to play it as a base card instead. And so we're going to be running that just because honestly with this deck being mainly around Itadori Yuji and raiding off of Sukuna, or the raid Itadori Yuji we'll go over later, it's just going to help. We already have 2 other cards to base it off of, a 0 energy and a 3 energy. But whenever we go ahead and it is our turn, if we have at least a finger or 2, as it says before, we're going to gain 1000 BP if we already have 1. And then if we have, 2 or more, then you're already gaining impact. So you can turn this Sukuna into a 5000 BP character while also gaining impact on it, so that will make it very strong. Our next card is going to be the 6 energy 2 AP Sukuna instead. This one's going to give you impact 1 whenever you play this card. Or every turn you'll have impact 1, but whenever it's played, if it's on the front line, your opponent returns 1 character on their front line to their hand. If you have 2 or 3 copies of Sukuna's finger in your sideline, then they put 2 instead. But if you have 4 or more copies of Sukuna's finger, then they go ahead and put 3 from their front line into their hand instead as well. We're running only 2 of this Sukuna, only because I mainly wanted to have at least raid cards, and then some of the other cards we're running in the deck too. But we're at least running 2 of these, so that way if we have the Sukuna's fingers, we can go ahead and return some cards to the player's hand, allowing us to go ahead and swing and attack more to get rid of their life a lot faster, or even to get rid of some of their characters that they also left on board if we didn't choose to take them out. It's also got 4000 BP, and it's also going to generate 1 energy if you play it on your energy line. Our next card, one of our main targets for the raid triggers that we have in this deck, is going to be 0 energy 1 AP Itadori Yuji. This is just going to be a simple card, simple vanilla. It at least has the trigger, so if you pull it out of your life, you get to add it to your hand. It's going to have 1500 BP and 1 energy generated. Next card is going to be our color trigger. We're going to be running 4 of these as well, just so that way we can have all 4 color triggers in the deck. But first, it's going to be 3 energy, 2 AP. When you play this card, choose up to 1 character with 3500 or less BP on your opponent's front line. If you have 1 to 2 Sukuna's fingers in your sideline, return the chosen character to their hand. If you have 3 or more Sukuna's finger cards in your sideline, then they sideline that character instead. So it's honestly pretty nice. Of course, you're going to want to have at least 4 of your triggers, so that way when you choose 1 character on your opponent's front line, they return that to their hand as well. So if it comes out of your life after they're attacking you, you can go ahead and throw something back into their hand as well, which is going to be pretty nice. It's also got 3000 BP, and it's going to generate 2 energy on your energy line. Next card that we have is going to be 0 energy 1 AP Nobara Kugisaki. This card says when played, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand to your sideline. We want to run this Nobara just because she will allow you to go ahead, take any of the Sukuna's fingers if you do draw one from when you play her, and it will also allow you to go ahead and throw that into your sideline, which is going to be very nice for the moment we have Sukuna or Itadori Yuji down, just so that way we can get those effects off and it'll be really nice to play with. This card's going to also have 1500 BP and 1 energy generated when you play it on your energy line, so it's going to be one of your main starters. Next card's going to be 3 energy, 1 AP Itadori Yuji. During your opponent's turn, if you have Sukuna's Finger in your sideline, this character gains 1000 BP. So technically, as long as you can get Sukuna's Finger in your sideline, you're going to pretty much have this Itadori be, instead of 3000 BP as it starts out, it'll go ahead and be a 4000 BP character, but at the same time, it's also going to go ahead and generate a sweet 2 energy for you on that energy line as well. Next card that we're going to be playing as well, or by the way, we only have 3 of these UGs right now, only because we wanted to have at least 4 of the UGs, the 0 energy ones, so that way we could use it as a target. Same thing with the 3 energy 2 AP, we got 4 of those because it's the color trigger and also another target. And this is pretty much our last target for any of the raids that we have for Sukuna or UG. But yeah, we wanted to at least have 3 of these guys in here because I do like the ability that it has. It's a little bit of a defensive card in my opinion, just because you get to add that 1000 BP as long as you have a finger in your sideline. So I think it's pretty nice to have at least 3 of. Next card we're going to have is the 1 energy, 1 AP Nobara Kugisaki. When you play this card, return 1 character from your field with 1 or less required energy to your hand. If you cannot, return this character to your hand as well. So pretty much having this card, just like any other deck, you want to use this to go ahead and bounce back any of your low cost 1 energy or less characters. So pretty much anything like the other Nobara, just so that way when you play her again, you can go ahead, draw a card, sideline 1. Then you can also play, yeah, that's pretty much the main card that we're going to be bouncing back, to be honest. So yeah, just really only the Nobara. That's the main card that we're at least trying to bounce back with this deck. So we're only running 3 of it, just so that way we can at least fill it in and then help ourselves generate that energy that we need. Because mainly, the main energy that we need for this deck is at least 4, because the highest card we have is going to be at least this 6 energy Sukuna. We don't really need to worry about hitting 6. It's nice to hit it, but for the most part, 4 energy is at least the main target that we need for this entire deck. So yeah, our next card's going to be 2 energy, 2 energy, 1 AP Maki Zenin. This card we only have 2 of just because I think it's really nice for the when played effects, but let's go ahead and at least talk about this card first real quick. During your opponent's turn, if you have 1 or more Curse Tool affinity cards or 4 or more event cards in your sideline, this character gains 1500 BP. When played, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 of those cards to your hand, and place the remaining card to your sideline. So pretty much you get to go ahead and draw 2 cards, choose out of the 2 cards which one you would like to add to your hand, then the other one just goes to the sideline. It'd be nice, honestly, if you get to pull, let's say, a Sukuna's Finger and like another Itadori Yuji. Like, let's say we're going and pulling this guy right here. You get to go ahead and place Maki down, search the top 2, pull out Itadori Yuji, then a Sukuna's Finger. You're obviously going to want to sideline that Sukuna's Finger so that way it can help you out with any of your other Yuji cards. So pretty much, for example, like this one right here. If you drew those 2 cards and you drew this Itadori and that Finger's going to your sideline. Itadori is going to be most likely on your front line at this point. Whenever you get to play it your next turn, if you don't go ahead and play it during this turn, since Maki's already only 1 AP, you could use your second AP, place him down, and then have the Sukuna's Finger in your sideline. So that way, once you go ahead and end your turn, since you're not going to be able to attack with this Itadori, you can pretty much use it as a blocker in a way. Normally you would think it's going to be a 3k, but because of the ability that it gets on your opponent's turn, it's going to jump up straight to a 4k, which I think is pretty nice. So yeah, I also like the Maki Zenin, just because, as it says, even though it says Curse Tool affinity cards, we're not running any Curse Tool affinity cards. I thought about checking out some of them, but I think there's only 2, and I don't really like the way they mix in for this deck. Let's see. I believe that I'm right with that. So yeah, blue, and then I believe features, yeah, Curse Tool. And so yeah, there's only these 2 cards. There's this guy, choose up to 1 character on your front line. It gains 2000 BP until the end of the turn, and you draw a card. It's not too bad, but I think with everything else we have in here, it doesn't even give us at least, or it's only an event, plus the events that we have that we are running. I think we need more than just any of these curse tools, but we might try to figure out some kind of deck in the future, see what we can make with the blue deck. But then the other one, choose 1 character, gains 2500 BP. Or sorry, choose 1 character with 2500 BP or less on your opponent's front line and sideline it. That's not too bad, but we're not doing too much BP minusing with this deck, so I don't really need to worry about it with this Sukuna build. But yeah, that's the reason why we're not really worried about the curse tools. We're at least using Maki Zenin for the other part of that during opponent's turn, where it says, or 4 or more event cards are in your sideline, you get to gain, or this character gains 1500 BP. So if we at least have 4 other events, we've got at least the Divergent Fist, we've also got Domain Expansion, and then we've got Sukuna's Fingers. So mainly, as long as you've got at least like 2 Sukuna's Fingers, you're probably going to have a Divergent Fist or a Domain Expansion in there at some point. So that's going to already be your 4, allowing you to go ahead and jump Maki up to 3000 BP, which is going to be pretty nice. We'll go ahead and talk about those event sites and stuff like that in a little bit after these next 2 cards. So the second one, or second to last card, is going to be 4 energy, 1 AP Itadori Yuji. This is going to be our other raid target. Um, we're running this Yuji because it's honestly really nice for its when played effect. You get to choose one character with 4000 BP or less on your opponent's front line and return it to their hand. This card is pretty nice just because it literally allows you to just bounce something back to their hand, and then because it's a raid target, you get to go ahead and pretty much open up a free spot for yourself to go ahead and attack. This Yuji does not use the Sukuna's Fingers, so you don't have to really worry about having that in your sideline at all, but it still does help for any of the other Yujis, because you could realistically have this 3-1 Yuji on your line, pretty much keep it safe, keep it at 4000 BP, and if you felt like turning it into your raid target, just raid on top of it. So then that way, while your opponent's turn is still going, you got your fingers in your sideline. This guy's going to be 4k just to keep itself alive a little bit longer. Or you could even block another lower cost character that's swinging on the opponent's turn, and then during your next turn, or if it comes out of your life as well, you can go ahead and just raid with this Itadori Yuji, turn it to active, and then just be cool. And so yeah, our next card and our last card for the characters is going to be Satoru Gojo. If this character is active, it gains 1 energy, and so pretty much it's got 2000 or 2500 BP. Normally starts out at 1 energy, but it jumps straight up to 2 once it turns active during your next turn. And so you normally want to have some of these cards in your deck just because it helps you jump up to having 2 energy. You don't have to really worry about swinging too much. You still can swing with any of the cards, of course, but you normally want to have Satoru Gojo, uh, what's her face, Noara Kugasaki, and probably as well, yeah, also this 0-1 Itadori Yuji, at least in your energy, just to help yourself build that energy. Of course, you can place anybody in there just to help your board set up, but we're still learning the game, so I'm not exactly sure how well I can play these cards. There is a sim that is coming out soon. I will make a video on that sim once they actually get it finished up. I was starting to make the video, but they had to go and start getting some fixes made for their site. I was mainly using that website to test out this deck right here, and also the Shikigami Rush deck, which is why I went ahead and updated that deck and made it a lot better than what it was now, or in that first video. But let's go ahead and finish talking about these blue cards real quick. Our first event card that we're going to have is Sukuna's Finger, the main card we've been talking about for the rest of the cards. So with this card, it's going to be 1 energy, 1 AP. You cannot use this card unless you place 1 card from your life into your sideline or switch one of your Itadori Yuji cards on your field to resting. Then after you do that, you get to draw a card, choose up to one of your AP cards, and switch it to active. Honestly, I really like the Sukuna's Finger just being a part of this deck overall, because with that second part of the ability, you draw a card, and then you get to choose one of your AP cards and switch it to active. You're pretty much getting to play this Sukuna's Finger just about free, if anything, while also just getting to draw a card for free. So it's almost like as if you're doing an AP draw, but then you just really just restand it, and it's almost exactly like Domain Expansion, which we're going to go about or go and talk about in a second, right after this guy. But yeah, I just really like having this Sukuna's Finger. You've got to have 4, so that way you can at least utilize the abilities of your cards that you have. I don't really think having less than 4 is going to really work all that well, because everything at least says have at least 1 or more Sukuna's Finger, sometimes 2 or more, and then 4 or more. So it's like you want to at least be able to use all those abilities. For example, like this Sukuna right here. This guy says you have to have at least 1 finger to get 1000 BP. You need 2 to at least gain the impact. Next card that we're going to have is going to be 3 energy, 1 AP, Domain Expansion. This is the card that I'm pretty much saying is the same as Sukuna's Finger, except obviously you got to pay 2 more, or you have to have at least 2 more energy. And instead of taking a card out of your life, or even getting to draw a card, all you're doing is standing up 2 AP. Every single deck in the game has a card like this, so you're going to always see this in people's decks no matter what. Also because it's the final trigger. The final trigger is the card that you want to have as your last card, because obviously it's the final trigger, and it's going to go ahead and let you place a card from the top of your deck onto the top of your life, and allow you to hope that you possibly even pull another final trigger. Um, if you were fortunate enough to not pull it throughout the entire game. I have seen a few people hit this before in Discord matches or Discord webcams, and those people have been very lucky to pull two final triggers. One being in their life already, then the next one being the next card on the top of their deck, putting it on top of life, then getting hit again, and then they just get to a third life for free. So having four of these is something you really would like to have in any of your decks. Final triggers are, in my opinion, something that is needed. Our next card that we have is going to be Divergent Fist. 4 energy, 1 AP. Choose one character with 5,000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and return it to their hand. If UG is on your field, sideline it instead. It's just like every other special trigger in most of the, I won't say every other, but just about every other deck that has a card that's like this. You have to have that main character on your board at least to go ahead and play this event. And then, for example, like Hunter x Hunter, if you have a Gone Freaks, and then I think it's Fishing Rod, or some other card, I don't remember exactly. But it's like if you play the card, you get to get rid of a card that's 3,500 BP or less. But then if Gone Freaks is on the board, it's 5,000. So this is pretty much the same thing, but instead, because it's JJK, with however Bandai decided to make this, you just choose a character that's already 5,000 BP on your front line, and it goes to their hand instead of their sideline. And then if Yuji is there, it just goes to their sideline instead. So it's honestly a really nice card. I think it's better than any of the other special triggers that are out right now. Um, and then also for the trigger effect for the special, choose one character on your opponent's front line and sideline it. Next card we're going to have Malevolent Shrine. I did have 4 of these in here at first, but just so I could go ahead and at least throw in the Raid Itadori Yuji, because I really did not want to miss out on that. I'm thinking about honestly swapping out some cards too at some point to maybe add the other Sukuna raid. I really want to add that one in because it's at least like a top 5 searcher and it has some other abilities I just don't remember exactly off the top of my head. Let's go ahead and check that out real quick while we can. So yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen, choose blue, and then we're going to, you don't even need to do that actually, it should be right here on the left side. Let's see. Sukuna, yeah, this guy right here. So this is the other Sukuna I honestly would like to play just because of this Malevolent Shrine. I just gotta figure out exactly how I want to play it. I'm not so sure yet. Right now this is really just like another one of my hypo decks. I might just make a playlist in any of the decks that I make before they come out, or even as I'm just building them before I get to try them out in person. I might call them just hypo decks because it's just a hypothesis deck in my opinion, because I don't know exactly what is going to be the best. I just base off my own deck creations off of videos, what other people say on Reddit, YouTube, just about anywhere for Union Arena, just because I'm trying to get into the game as much as I can and learn how to play this card game to the best of my ability, being a new TCG player. So yeah, this is pretty much the deck. Oh, sorry, before I completely forget about it, the last card that we have to go over, the 4 energy, 1 AP Malevolent Shrine. This is going to be one of your site cards, but this site card plays as active, so if you're familiar with, let's say, Blue Hunter x Hunter, this is just like Risky Dice, so you get to play this card as active, just so that way you can activate its ability first, immediately. The abilities: activate main, switch to resting, choose one Sukuna card, not a Sukuna's finger, from your field. Until the end of the turn, it gains all abilities listed if you have the required number of Sukuna's finger cards in your sideline. So, just like I said, this is just like the blue Hunter x Hunter deck, if you're familiar with it. You have Gon and Killua, both the 4 energy, 1 AP characters, and also Bisky as well, to be honest. Bisky's the 4 energy, 2 AP cost character. All 3 of them, they have abilities where you don't get to just only choose one ability. It says, just like Malevolent Shrine, you get to activate all abilities listed if you have the required number of cards for whatever affinity it is that you're looking for. And so with JJK, you're at least looking for Sukuna's fingers. In Hunter x Hunter, you're mainly looking for the specified slots. So with JJK, if you have at least 2 or more Sukuna's fingers in your sideline, your Sukuna will gain damage 2. If you have 3 or more, Sukuna will gain snipe. And then if you have 4 or more, you'll gain +1 impact. So with the damage 2, for example, like with this Sukuna right here, if we had at least the 2 or more fingers, this guy would become impact 1 and damage 2. So you're already going to get the hit for sure, unless they have a nullify impact card, which is going to be pretty nice if you it's going to be pretty nice for them if they have that. It's not going to be nice for you. But yeah, pretty much 2 or more fingers is going to gain impact 1 and damage 1. Then if you have 3 or more, you're going to have at least impact, damage 2, and you're going to have snipe, so that way you can go ahead and get rid of a character on their front line. I don't think snipe is specifically just frontline only, is it? You may target a character on your opponent. Okay, yeah, it's only the front line. So yeah, you get rid of a character on their front line, also gaining damage 2, and then also having impact. But then if you have 4 or more, you don't have just impact 1, you get impact 2. So I believe, if I'm correct with it, I gotta find out, to be honest. Let me know in the comments if you do know. Um, your Sukuna, for example, the one we were using, it'll gain the damage 2, snipe, and then instead of just being impact 1, it'll end up turning into impact 2. And I believe that with it being impact 2, since it's an impact plus 1, I believe you get to already technically get 2 hits in, and then you also have the damage 2, if I have that right. My only other thought is that with it being impact 2 and then also having damage 2, that if you have like the yellow panda, for example, like the yellow raid trigger or yellow raid card, he's at least going to be a card that has double damage, or sorry, double block. So this guy right here, for example, he's double block. So I assume that having at least double, if you had the 2 impact, my thoughts are that a card like this would be able to just go ahead and block it all the way, because a double blocker gets to block the first attack and just switch right back to active. And so that's my assumption. I'm not exactly sure. Please let me know in the comments so that way I can honestly figure that out, because I would really love to get that figured out soon. But yeah, this is going to be it for our deck that we created. Please let me know what your thoughts are, and let me know if there's any updates that you think that I should go ahead and add to this deck. I'm excited to try this out. Like I said, there is a simulator that is being worked on currently. Not by myself, but there's some people out there in a Discord. Um, I'll drop that soon. I don't want to drop it now because they're currently trying to deal with people not breaking their server right now. They're trying to just go ahead and relocate it, so that way they can make things run a lot smoother and make it less costly. But from what I got to try out from the first day they released it, it really is really nice, the way that they set it up. If you're familiar with the One Piece TCG simulator, it's kind of similar. I believe it's being made by the same people. I'd have to double check, but yeah. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and checking out my Blue Sukuna deck that I created. If you guys would like to check out the deck list yourself, I'll go ahead and drop the deck list link into the description like I always do. And thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you on the next one. Next video most likely will be the updated video for the yellow Megumi Rush deck that I created, because I want to show you guys exactly what I did to change it up. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one, and peace out. One last final thing, I forgot while I was looking through the video and editing it, I realized I skipped over Sukuna's finger. I think I might have just cut it out on accident, but this card's going to be 1 energy, 1 AP. You cannot use this card unless you place 1 card from your life into your sideline, or switch 1 active Itadori Yuji card on your field to resting. Draw a card, choose up to 1 card, or sorry, choose up to 1 of your AP cards and switch it to active. I honestly like having this card in the first place just because it allows you to go ahead and switch 1 of your AP back, but then you also get to draw it. So it's just like your domain expansion, but at the same time, it's just 1 or 2 energy less, and then also allows you to just rest a card of your own. But thank you guys again for stopping by and checking out the channel. Peace out, and see y'all in the next one.